Welcome to the Retirement Planning Show, your source for financial strategies to help you retire with confidence. Featuring Chip Coughlin of Retirement Income Analysts in Syracuse, New York. Chip is a registered representative, and securities are offered through LPL Financial, member of FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Stratus Wealth Partners, Ltd. Retirement Income Analysts and Stratus Wealth Partners are separate entities from LPL Financial. And now, here are your co-hosts, Matt Halloran and Chip Coughlin.
Today we're going to talk about the top things that Chip wished he knew when he was a new advisor. Now, this is one of my favorite podcasts to be able to do with financial services professionals because it shows their growth over time. If you're a professional growth and development is so key and so important, and I'm really excited. Chip came up with 6 things that he wished he would have knew when he really started off in the business. So Chip, thanks for being here again.
Hello.
All right, so what is the first thing that you wish you would have known when you first hung your shingle and became an advisor?
The first thing I wish I knew, and it was told to me very early in my career, was to be a specialist, not a generalist.
Okay, define that, please.
Well, I think in my world, in the financial advisory world, some people can advise anyone, but my manager took me aside and he said, Chip, he was wise beyond his years. He said, you need to be a specialist to a specific group and focus on one thing and do it comprehensively. So like the attorney or the accountant, I have a very specialized body of knowledge and I work on those clients really comprehensively. And it's basically my specialty is getting people to retirement and getting them, even young clients. We begin with the end in mind, retirement. How long do you want to work? I can tell you on the physician side, most of my clients are physicians. In the old days, they wanted to work forever and they were going to die, in their doctor's office. Right. They wanted the biggest, the best and all that.
Right.
But the pendulum swung back. It really swung back where they want to get paid well for what they do. They don't want to work till they drop. They have some hobbies outside of medicine, which in the old days they didn't. So they don't want the biggest and the best. They want high quality. They want the quality time, the ability to make financial decisions at a younger age where they can pursue other avenues of interest.
What sort of education allowed you to feel the level of confidence you feel to say that this is what you specialize in? Well,
initially, when I started to specialize in retirement, I needed a deeper knowledge, a deeper understanding of all the retirement issues. So I sought out a program called Retirement Management Analyst. And it's a graduate level program. And I completed that, and I was really happy because it's not just having enough money. There's so many other facets to retirement planning. It's what are you going to do when you get there? What are you going to do along the way? What problems you run into? Financially, how to best adjust the portfolios and things like that. So I am a retirement management analyst, and that's been very valuable to me, and it's really been valuable to my clients because I'm bringing up and discussing with them very real issues early on in the game so that they're aware of them and we can plan for them. Because given enough time, you can achieve any objective if you stick to it. And additionally, I'm an accredited investment fiduciary.
Okay.
And that came up last week with a client. She said, Chip, are you a fiduciary? And I said, yes, I am. I run my office on a fiduciary model, but I'm also an accredited investment fiduciary. And that basically means I work for you, the client. I don't work for any company. I put your needs first, and it puts me in a special standing with the client because their needs are the only needs that I'm concerned with. And I'm trying to do the best job objectively for them all the time. And clients want to know that. They want to know you have their best interests in mind because the newspapers are littered with stories of people that got abused by a financial advisor and basically put their own self-interest above the client's interest. And that's not where I want to be. I've been in this community a long time. I'm going to stay here. And you got to put the client's needs first.
Well, you live where you work, right? I mean, the last thing in the world you want is to have, people saying bad things about Chip Coughlin when, these people who are your clients are your neighbors.
Well, exactly. And I've been in this community my whole entire life. And so it's a privilege, I think, to have these clients and have the respect from the clients and know that I've done a great job for them. And I'm very comprehensive, but I'm totally objective. And that makes me feel really good.
Can you elaborate on what it means to be a generalist, though? So can you give us an example of what you would have done early on in your career that made you a generalist instead of a specialist?
Well, as a generalist, when I first started, you would really pursue anybody in any career, in any income group, in anything like that, and really trying to find out what their needs were and try to fix that or advise them without the deeper understanding of a specific area. So being a generalist is like, what would be a good example? A pilot is a specialist.
Sure.
Driving a car is a generalist, if you could think it that way. Okay. And I want to be the guy that my clients rely on, knowing that I've landed the jet 350 times in all types of weather. Mm-hmm. I don't want the pilot flying my plane who just got his license.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So I want to be a specialist. I want to have the knowledge and the competence to look at those situations and really answer their questions, develop some objectives for the clients, and really enforce the idea of it's their money, how do they want to proceed, and what's the best path to take.
What's number 2? So that was the first one, be a specialist and not a generalist. What is the second thing that you wish you knew when you first started off? Okay,
the power of compound interest. And I'll say this simply, a small amount of money over a long period of time gives you an explosion of value. So they say compound interest is the strongest force in nature, and I really believe it. So my clients, if they started out with me when they were young, right out of medical school or right out of residency, and they started saving $50 a month or $100 a month, when they get into practice, obviously that goes up. Maybe now they're saving $2,000 a month, and it grows from there. And what a difference that can have on their future, because that saving, the behavior of saving money allows them to some financial decision making that others don't have. And what I mean by that is they have the power to say, gee, I want to slow down. I want to go from 5 days a week to 3.5 days a week. I want to have a retirement home in Florida and spend a month every winter down there. So the power of good behavior financially is tremendous. And if the clients start saving in a young age and add to that over time and live within their means, allocate their resources correctly, they can have that. And it's financial decision making that is very progressive, and it makes the clients feel great.
Okay, I'm going to challenge you on this because I need you to break that down and unpack that even more. So you're saying a small amount of money over time, but explain to us a little bit more about how that works, please.
Well, we tell our clients they should save or invest about 15% of their income. And obviously, if they're making $50,000 a year, figure out how much that's going to be, 10 to 15%. And it doesn't all have to go in the savings account. It could go in their 401k, 403b, IRAs, and some in their savings account as well, because you have to build up your emergency fund. But as the income increases, when it goes from 50 to 75 to 100 to 125 and so on, you maintain that saving behavior as a percentage, not in dollars. And over time, those dollars compounded over time can be tremendous. And we try to get the clients to look at that. And if they can live within their means, meaning not have too much debt, not have a new car every 12 months and things like that, they can get to where they want to be financially. And it's very, very liberating when you can say to the client, hey, you're 55 years old. You can stop working 5 days a week. Let's work 4 days a week. Your income will go down a little bit, but you've got the resources and perhaps no debt to allow you to do that. And that's life altering. When you tell somebody without any question, they can slow down a little bit, work a little bit less, generate a little less income because they've got the assets behind them to have the freedom to make that decision.
Gotcha. All right, so that was number 2, the power of compound interest. What was number 3, the third thing that you wish you would have known as a new advisor?
Okay, how to stay organized and be most efficient with my time. We all want to be efficient with our time. We want to get the biggest bang out of everything that we do. But early on in my career, I think I was spinning my wheels. And when I got when I was told to become a specialist, that allowed me to dig down deeper and be more efficient with my time, because then I was helping people that needed help. And it was very rewarding to me, because I was not spinning my wheels so much. I was in 4-wheel drive and I was on my way. And I had great traction there. So, and again, a lot of time is wasted on different things. And boy, when you're a specialist and you know what you've got to do, and you know, taking the road less traveled but doing it right really will have an impact for your clients, you start attracting other clients that want to go on, the same trip, so to speak. And that's been very good for me. The clients wishing to have a safe and secure retirement, the clients wishing to become work optional, perhaps at a younger age, the clients wishing to, we call it the hybrid retirement, clients wishing to stay in the game, stay working at their specialty or whatever, but for less time each week, meaning not a full-time job, but a 60% time, a 50% time. Because we see people that are retiring that really have no plans to do at retirement. And, some clients have the knowledge, they've spent a career in one certain area, and they just want a little bit more free time. They want to have a long weekend every weekend. And that's invigorating. And they're getting paid their best wage because they're in their specialty. So being able to give them the freedom to make an economic decision that they can cut back, and boy, that's enjoying life then.
Were there any books or anything that you read that really opened your eyes to being more productive?
Oh, I read some interesting books early on in my career.
Okay.
I read Tony Robbins like everybody else. I went to see him live at one point, and that guy was on fire. I read several other time management books I thought were important, but for me, I read books on goal setting.
Okay.
And how to set goals. And initially they were for me. I wanted to set goals. I wanted to get up every day and jump out of bed and attack the day. And so it really worked for me. I had short-term goals. I had long-term goals. And it really worked. It gave me a reason to jump out of bed in the morning, as I said, and get going on my day. And I transferred a lot of that goal setting to my clients. And to them, I was asking them, what's important to you? What really gets your motor going? What do you want to do with your family? What hobbies do you have? Where do you like spending time? And we tried to come up with some goals that would really energize their life if they could do that. And I think that it really worked for me. The goal setting was really a big part of it.
Well, thank you for transferring that to your clients, because I think a lot of times people hold some of that wisdom close to their chest, and it's magnificent that you share that. All right, so that was number 3, how to stay organized with your time. What is the number 4 thing you wish you would have known?
Well, number 4 is how to hire key support staff. We have an office here. It's a very efficient office. We have a very high output. We have very high standards, but it took a while to develop that. And many times we call that the culture of the office. And we try to foster a culture here that is very, it's a nice place to work. It's a place that I have never, I committed my staff last year at the year-end dinner, and I said, I like coming to work because of the people I work with. And it's a very helping, encouraging environment where everybody works together. And when I started, it was, when I started my career 34 years ago, it was just, okay, go hire somebody to do this for you. And it was more of less hiring just a person, not hiring a skilled person that would fit the culture that I wanted, that had forward thinking, and that was a caring, helpful person. And many times my clients talk with my assistants on the phone more than they talk to me. And they'll come in and sit down with me, but it's amazing for me to see when the clients leave the office, they'll say goodbye to my staff by name.
Mm-hmm.
They'll say goodbye, Lisa, goodbye, Jackie, and I think that's great. So I hired key people. My staff cares about the clients. They care about doing the right things right, and they want to leave no one behind. And that's an important role, because many people see their staff as a liability, and I see my staff as an asset.
Mm-hmm.
And as an asset, they can enhance my business, they can enhance my relationship with my clients, and they can enhance my clients' lives. Because let's face it, I may be out of the office tomorrow afternoon when the client calls with a question.
Mm-hmm.
My staff is concerned, and they want to answer that question as clearly and as quickly as possible. And they will take the time to do that. And so having the staff that'll back you up is a real benefit to me. And it really takes time to find the right people.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well,
Yep.
And I'm glad that you look at them as an asset, because you're right. A lot of people look at it as an expense, and you have really surrounded yourself with some magnificent people. All right. So that was number one, was specialize and not be a generalist. Number two, the power of compound interest, right? Number three,
Yes.
organized and efficient with your time. Number four, how to hire key support staff. What is number five?
Number five is the psychology of investing. It's how market move affect client perceptions. And, many clients have the herd mentality, and whatever way the market goes, they're going. And we want to be able to educate our clients and say, gee whiz, if the market goes down, if there's a market correction, it really shouldn't affect you, because we've done our planning ahead of time. So we want to be proactive. And, we do some hand-holding. There's no question about it. But, when they had the China and gasoline, or China and oil, in the first trading day in January, we sent out a little note to everybody: don't worry about geopolitical events. They seem to go bad for a couple of days, and then the market comes back. So when we had the Brexit issue earlier this year, people thought the world economy was going to end when Britain voted to leave the European Economic Union. And the market fell for 3 days based on emotion, but then it came back and set an all-time high based on reality. So we talked to our clients ahead of time about geopolitical events and how the market goes down and the market recovers. So in the old days, they thought the world was going to end. Back in the 80s, you had Black Monday and Black Friday and things like that. And we did a lot of hand-holding, and we just said, hold on, the market's going to come back. But it's more than that. It's giving the clients the confidence to say their allocation is correct for the goal they're trying to achieve. And if they're going to retire in 2 years, like we had some clients in last night, they're going to retire in about 15 months, and their mix is very, very conservative. So if the market went into a recession this afternoon, they would still be okay, because their time horizon is so short. We had to take the risk out of the portfolio.
You do a lot of education. Yeah, hold on, because I want to touch on that a little bit more, because it's interesting. We haven't really spent a lot of time on these podcasts talking about what you do to educate the greater Syracuse area. So take a moment, because you are talking about education in number five there. So elaborate a little bit more about some of the stuff that you do in your community, please.
Well, we teach a retirement class, and it's a 2-night class. It's 6 hours, 3 hours a night. And we go through all the facets of getting ready to retirement, from the portfolio to your wills to trusts to saving, how to invest, what the tax credits are, how to build an income, what tax brackets look like, how they change. Once you retire, they change because you have perhaps a lower income, and how we can put an income together to minimize the tax but still give you the income you need. We talk about Social Security and the best ways to access the Social Security. We talk about planning, for living too long. It's the longevity risk. And we want the clients to do it. So we teach a class, and it's really fun. It's very interactive for me. And the people in the class come up with great questions. It's not heavy duty. It's light in terms of we keep it light. We throw a lot of information, but we give them a book or a binder to go home with, so that they can open that up and do some practical exercises to prepare for retirement. And we want people to start formulating a picture of their perfect retirement. And the first part of the class, that's what I focus on. What is your perfect view of retirement? And it's different for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, some people want to go hunting and fishing. Some want to go hang out with the grandkids. Some want to start doing a part-time job or work at a hobby and try to sell something based on a hobby. So it's different for everybody, but everybody's got to start making a plan and writing it down and having some goals. And so the first part of the class, we focus on that. And then we get into the financial aspects and things like that to give them a well-rounded view of retirement. And really what we're trying to surface is what issues do they have today? How can we clear those issues up and really make a plan for the future? And the action items, I tell our clients, here's your homework. When they go home after the first night, I say, well, here's your homework. And we give them a budget to fill out. We give them some things to think about. We do a healthcare assessment because healthcare costs in retirement are going to be one of their largest expenses. Mm-hmm. People don't know that. So by educating the community, we think we're going to give people a better retirement over time.
Now, if somebody wanted to come to one of those classes, how do they find out when you're doing those very quickly?
They can call my office. We have 3 different classes coming up in the spring. The first one is at the beginning of February. Then there'll be one in March and probably one in April, late April into May.
Okay. So
there'll be 3 different classes, and they're spread out geographically because we're trying to get the word out. We're trying to get the word that you don't start planning for retirement the day you walk out of the office.
Sure. You
got to plan for it early on. And it's amazing how many people we get that have planned nothing for retirement.
Yeah.
And it's rewarding when someone can come in and I can say, hey, based on my analysis, here's what you have. Here's what Social Security will give you. You don't have any debt. You did your homework there. You've really earned the right to retire. And I think you can do it. And we show them concretely, here's what you've got and here's what it's going to take. And you can now have the right to retire. But conversely, sometimes we've got to give out bad news.
Yeah.
And we had a client come in and he was 61 and a half years old. He wanted to retire at 62. He had a $400,000 house with a $200,000 mortgage on it. And he had a car that was quite expensive that he still had a big loan on. And I said, how are you going to pay for these luxuries when you retire? And he really didn't have an answer. And I had to give him some hard news. In his case, it was sell the house, buy a condo, sell the car, buy a Honda, Kia, Toyota, whatever, because that would have saved him $3,500 a month in costs. Yeah, in costs that he didn't have. So I had to give him some tough news, and he didn't want to. It was kind of interesting. He didn't want to tell his wife. So the next meeting we had, he brought his wife to the office, and I had to tell her.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, he used me as the delivery of bad news, but she agreed, and I think he was trying to, be everything to his wife, which we all want to be, but financially they needed to make some changes, and she understood that. And when they left the office, they were in agreement of the issues they had to deal with and how to deal with them, and that's, I'll tell you what, it's very liberating when you can do that.
Yeah. You've talked about risk a lot during these podcasts, but that's the number 6 one. So actually, just take a minute, take us all the way to number 6. So go through 1 through 6, and then let's talk about this last thing that you wish you knew.
Okay, the first one was to be a specialist, not a generalist. Number 2, the power of compound interest, the strongest form in nature. Number 3, how to stay organized to be most efficient with your time. I think that's key in anything that we do. How to hire key support staff. We've done that here in the office, and that pays dividends every day. How market moves affect client perceptions. We do that. We do some hand-holding, but it's a process. And with our clients, we want to stay out in front of that, but we have to get their asset allocation right based on their timeline. Number 6 is how to manage all forms of risk. In the old days, when I was a new advisor, people said, am I going to make money or am I going to lose money? And it was the risk of loss. And there's so much more to it than that today. There's inflation risk, there's market risk, there's liquidity risk, there's lack of diversification risk, or sometimes known as concentration risk. There's many different types of risk, business risk, and so on. And we have to look at all of those and see how they interact with what the client is actually trying to do. There's no such thing as a riskless investment. People say, oh, I don't want to take any risk. I want to have it all in a money market account. Well, you're suffering from a low return there because you're not dealing with inflation risk. And money markets have a return right now that are lower than the stated inflation in the economy. So you're having all your assets there. You're never going to grow because after inflation and taxes, you're down. So there's a lot of different types of risk. We have to look at those that we can diversify out of, those that we can ignore based on the situation, and those we have to deal with.
I had no idea there were that many forms of risk.
Oh, there's more. Those are the top 5.
Oh, those are just the top 5? All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, closing statements here. So one of the reasons why I really love this podcast or the format of these specific questions is because, as you have shown, professional growth and development and continuing to get better is so vital to absolutely, I think, anybody who's a professional. And these 6 things that you outlined today, Chip, are things that you have obviously made major corrections to make it so that you are going to be the best advisor you can be for your clients. So any closing statements?
Well, we believe in education. And in my field, everybody has continuing education requirements. Just like in medicine, there's continuing medical education. We have that, but you have to go above and beyond. And that's why I'm a retirement management analyst. I'm an accredited investment fiduciary. I'm a certified wealth specialist. I'm an accredited asset management specialist. And I also have a certification in identity theft. And all of those things are very important to all my clients. And I had to go down and get deeper knowledge and drill down in each one of those topics so that I could give them the best service possible. And my clients are relying on me to be that guy, to be the resource to help them get there. And when I say get there, I mean get to retirement and beyond. And there's a lot of distractions. And if we can smooth out that road, smooth out the bumps in the road, the client's going to feel a lot better. And they don't have to worry about what's going on in their lives on an ongoing basis.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you for your time today, Chip. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Matt.
Securities offered through LPL Financial. Member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Stratos Wealth Partners, a registered investment advisor. Stratos Wealth Partners and Retirement Income Analysts, LLC, are separate entities from LPL Financial. Content in this material is for general information only and not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. All performance referenced is historical and is no guarantee of future results. All indices are unmanaged and may not be invested into directly.